Hello guys, Spider-Man finally managed to get a cure for his disease, but unfortunately, he still has to face an immortal vampire known as Morbius. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to subscribe. The story begins with a man on a motorbike reading a newspaper about Spider-Man. He then activates his GPS system and speeds through the streets of New York. We see that Spider-Man is watching the city. He wants to make sure that no one is in danger. Suddenly, one of his greatest enemies, Morbius, appeared to suck the blood of an innocent person. Luckily, Spider-Man was nearby to stop him. He offered help to Michael, but the vampire doesn't want to talk and flies away. Spider-Man thought he was alright, but suddenly the vampire attacked him from behind and managed to throw him to the top of a building. Michael will continue attacking. He wants to kill Spider-Man. After all, he's very annoying. He never stops offering help, and Michael just can't take it anymore. The fight between the two of them is impressive. Spider-Man will never give up, and Michael even tries to tell Spider-Man to shut up. At that moment, the man on the motorcycle jumped from the top of another building and threw a grenade between the two who were fighting. This grenade released some kind of green smoke that made Michael start screaming. Then the man used a sword that looks like a lightsaber from Star Wars and was ready to chop Michael up, but he missed his first cut. The vampire flew away and managed to escape the fight. Even so, that man won't give up. He modified the tires of his motorcycle and managed to jump from one building to another. His motorcycle is capable of climbing walls even better than Spider-Man himself. It seems that Michael won't be able to escape and Spider-Man will have to intervene. Michael is about to be killed by this man who shot him with a different kind of device from his motorcycle. Michael was pinned against a wall, and the man said that just a little more of that poisonous gas will end the vampire's reign of terror.
Poison gas will end your reign of terror.
But before he could kill Michael, Spider-Man appeared and attacked the man from behind. The man can't understand why Spider-Man is protecting a filthy vampire, and while the two were fighting, Michael managed to free himself from the device and then flew away. The man manages to throw Spider-Man with ease, and the superhero is impressed as that man is really strong. He used a grenade with a net to trap Spider-Man and then went to test how the superhero reacts to a dose of his lethal gas. Spider-Man started to feel sick and sneezed a lot, but that gas is not enough to destroy him. Spider-Man realized that this smoke is basically composed of garlic. He doesn't understand why that man is using garlic, and the man himself was shocked. He can hardly believe that Spider-Man survived the garlic grenade. That means he's not a vampire. Any vampire would have been destroyed by that grenade, and Spider-Man then tries to stop this man from leaving because he has some questions to ask him. But enraged, this man attacked Spider-Man again, and it seems like he has fangs like a vampire. The man then sped off on his motorcycle to escape, and the superhero is impressed. The man also has fangs just like Michael, and to find him, Spider-Man managed to implant a tracker on the motorcycle. He left leaping from building to building on his motorcycle, defying all the laws of physics. But unfortunately, Spider-Man couldn't follow him. His mutation returned. He's in pain and will have to take another dose of his daily antidote. But after he left, Michael began to pursue that man. He's curious. This person knew all of Michael's weaknesses, and he wants to understand where all that knowledge came from. Meanwhile, the authorities are still searching for the missing student named Michael Morbius. Nobody knows he transformed into a vampire, only Spider-Man. And to make matters worse for the superhero, everyone believes he's the one who took Michael Morbius against his will. The detective still hasn't figured out everything that is going on, but she wants to catch Spider-Man so she can ask him some questions. The journalist also announced on television that the missing student Peter Parker had finally returned home. He told everyone that he was taking pictures of Spider-Man and couldn't get in touch with his aunt. The reporter goes on to say that many people in New York, including famous athletes, are suffering from a mysterious disease that causes their blood plasma to disappear. Some of these athletes describe the person who attacked them as someone with fangs. People are already starting to think there's a vampire on the loose in New York City, and we see that while the detective was investigating Spider-Man, he went to one of his friends, a scientist, to take his daily dose of the antidote. throat. The other female scientist, Dr. Crawford, had to travel to Africa to deal with an epidemic that's happening there. She left all the research with this scientist. He will be able to help Spider-Man using his new nanogenetic treatment cannons. This treatment will have to be repeated every 24 hours or Spider-Man's mutation will return and he will turn into a monster again. The scientist also warned Spider-Man that the sponsors of his experiments are considering halting all the investments. There are discussions taking place regarding mutations and how dangerous they could be for the planet. Perhaps the scientist will not be able to use his nanogenetic recombination cannon, but to avoid leaving Spider-Man without his treatment, the scientist will seek further sponsorship from another foundation. When he left the lab, Spider-Man was determined to stop Michael before he attacked more people, but it was too late. The vampire is already out there sucking the plasma from many people. When Spider-Man approached to investigate, people began throwing rocks at him. They believe Spider-Man was responsible for what happened to that woman a little earlier, and Spider-Man tried to escape. He's impressed by how quickly people turn against you when they think you are a blood-sucking monster. If Spider-Man can't find Michael Morbius, he'll never be able to clear his own name. Luckily, it seems like Michael found Spider-Man and they started fighting. Spider-Man begs Michael to end this nightmare. He needs to accept the help, but Michael still doesn't want to be helped. He attacks Spider-Man and it turns out that tonight Michael had an epiphany. He likes being different because now he can no longer be hurt. He cannot be destroyed. He is completely immortal. Michael no longer wants to be just another human being. After all, he is now more powerful than any human being. He's the king of the night and has begun to suck the plasma from Spider-Man's blood. With that plasma, he felt even more powerful and suddenly heard the sound of a motorcycle. That man arrived and hit Michael with the motorcycle. Michael wants to know who this man is, and he introduces himself as Blade, the vampire hunter. All he wants is to destroy this vampire in front of him, but Michael immediately began attacking him. Spider-Man was lucky because Michael didn't manage to suck all the plasma from his body, but he's still feeling a little weak. Blade knocked down the vampire and is doing well in this fight. He managed to capture Michael and is gonna kill him with one of his weapons. His time had come to an end, but unfortunately, Spider-Man saved Michael. The vampire managed to fly away, and Spider-Man explained to this man that Michael had become a monster because of him. Blade still doesn't understand why he wanted to save that monstrosity, and Spider-Man said it was because he didn't want to be a vampire. But Blade insisted all vampires must be destroyed, and anyone who wants to help them must also be destroyed. Blade tried to kill Spider-Man and even cut his web so that he would lose his life during the fall, but Spider-Man was lucky. His fall was cushioned by the building's awnings, and when he hit the ground, everyone was disgusted. They didn't want to touch him because they thought they could get a disease, and the police appeared to arrest him. Spider-Man had to use his last strength to escape that place, and he's still feeling unwell, but at least he realized that he can't fight Michael alone. He needs help, but he doubts whether that vampire hunter will agree to help him. Spider-Man then uses the locator to find where that hunter is hiding. We see that at that moment, Blade was in a secret hideout inside a movie theater. The man talked to his assistant. Even though he didn't destroy the vampire in his first battle, Blade still will have other chances. The vampire hunter told his assistant that the vampire is different. Spider-Man told him that Spider-Man himself created that vampire. Blade doesn't know how that's possible, and his assistant says that many things are possible in this world. Even though they've already learned a lot about vampires, new things can appear overnight. Blade has already noticed that all the attacks on people without blood plasma have happened around New York City's university, but he wants to know why this is happening. Spider-Man appeared at that moment, saying that maybe the vampire likes the university cafeteria. Blade tried to attack him, but Spider-Man managed to trap him with his webs. Blade yelled, saying that Spider-Man was only proving that he was a protector of filthy vampires, but the superhero said he was only there to get some information. He wants to know what Blade is, but the vampire hunter managed to break free and attacked Spider-Man. Luckily, his assistant stopped him and said it would be better if they listened to Spider-Man. He might be able to answer all their questions. Blade could hardly believe that his own assistant wanted to hear what Spider-Man had to say. After all, he had just saved a vampire's life, but Spider-Man insisted on asking them to listen what he had to say. The assistant agreed, and Blade released Spider-Man. The assistant then apologized to Spider-Man, as Blade didn't quite know how to deal deal with people. After all, they had been in this line of work for far too long. Spider-Man asked what is it exactly that they do, and the man explained that they are vampire hunters. There are many people around the planet who dedicate their lives to hunting vampires, and Spider-Man can hardly believe it. The assistant was trained when he was young, and now he passes on all these traditions to Blade himself. The vampire hunter is the son of a vampire who fell in love with a woman. His mother was a normal person, but after a while, she was also transformed into a vampire. That happened against her will. The woman, however, wanted her son to have a normal life, and because of this, she had one last act of love. She placed her son in an orphanage, and years later, Blade escaped from that place and had to survive on the city streets. He discovered that was blessed with some different abilities. He is part vampire, but not completely vampire. The transformation didn't fully happen. He has the speed and the strength of a vampire, but is not affected by sunlight. He is also immune to the venom that is found in vampire fangs, and now Blade hates those vampires who condemned him to live a life of a monster. That's why he wants to kill all of them. Spider-Man knows what it feels like to being different from the other people. That's not an easy thing. The assistant explains that when he found Blade, he tried to train him in martial arts and made him focus his powers on fighting these creatures of darkness. Blade could do it in a way that no other human being would be able to. Spider-Man wants to know if there's even more vampires on the planet, and the assistant explains that every country in the world has people who carry the mutant gene responsible for transforming them into vampires. The bodies of these vampires consume a lot of iron, which is why they need to feed on people's blood plasma. Spider-Man mentions that Michael does exactly that. He is the result of an experiment that mixed his own blood with the blood of Spider-Man. All this was done through an equipment known as Neogenetic Recombinator. Blade is shocked to discover that there's a machine that can create vampires and demand to know where is this machine because he needs to destroy it. Spider-Man says that it can't be destroyed because it's the only thing preventing him from turning into a mutant. Furthermore, it's the only machine that can transform Michael back to normal, but Blade got tired of hearing Spider-Man trying to defend vampires and attacked him. After Spider-Man left, the assistant told Blade that if Spider-Man can transform Michael back into a human being, perhaps he can also help Blade too. He is increasingly hungry for plasma, and the serum that the assistant developed to satisfy his hunger is having less and less effect. The machine can transform Blade back into a human being and save him, but Blade doesn't want that to happen. He wants to remain a vampire so he can locate his mother and also destroy all the vampires in the world. We see that Spider-Man was hiding, listening to this entire conversation, and after the two of them left, he took something from the lab. That something is the venom Blade uses to kill vampires. Spider-Man discovered that it's not simply a mixture with garlic. There are specific bacteria in there. Everything was very well thought out, and suddenly Mary Jane called Peter Parker to invite him to dine at the university. He is still afraid to meet his girlfriend, but decided to accept. He might find out something about Michael. Upon arriving at the university, the detective was questioning the students about everything that was happening and decided to ask Peter Parker where she could find Spider-Man. He should know, after all, he's always taking pictures of him. But Peter says he doesn't know anything about Spider-Man. The woman got angry. She said it seems like Peter and Michael's girlfriend are benefiting greatly from the young man's disappearance. And we see that Michael's girlfriend was so sad that she went outside to cry. Peter felt sorry for her and went there to try and comfort her. The woman hugged him and said she was very sad about everything that was happening. Peter knows it's all his fault, since his blood was the main cause of Michael's transformation. Peter promises his girlfriend that he will do everything to bring Michael back. We see that Mary Jane observed the entire conversation and was filled with jealousy. When their friend Harry Osborn appeared, she decided to invite him to dinner. All those interactions were being watched by Michael Morbius. He saw Peter with his girlfriend and got really angry. We also see the detective observing everything. After that, Michael broke into the lab of the scientist who helped Spider-Man to steal the Neogenetic Recombinator. He succeeded, but during his escape, Blade appeared to destroy him. The vampire hunter came for the Recombinator, but he got lucky, and now he's going to kill the vampire too. Michael managed to defend himself, throwing a brick, then throwing the Recombinator itself. He knocked Blade down and began to attack him. Throughout the fight, Michael managed to grab Blade and flew away with him. Instead of letting him fall to his death, Michael Michael preferred to place Blade in a factory chimney. Before he could drop the vampire hunter inside of it, Spider-Man appeared to stop him. When Blade slipped, Spider-Man managed to save him. While he was pulling the vampire hunter from there, Michael went to the Recombinator. They couldn't stop him from grabbing the device and escaping. Neither of them could do anything. Blade said that Spider-Man needs to learn a lot about hunting vampires, but luckily he's willing to teach him. Spider-Man will have no other choice. He'll have to work with the vampire hunter because he needs to get the Recombinator back. The two of them followed the vampire, who was flying throughout New York City, but unfortunately they reached the sea and couldn't keep on following him. Spider-Man knows where Michael must be going. He told Blade to follow him, and the two of them went to a certain place. On the way there, we see that the police woman was following everyone and warned the other authorities. Turns out that Spider-Man knew Michael was going to try to steal the Recombinator, so he took out a chip from the device before Michael showed up. This specific chip is only manufactured in a single factory. Michael must be inside trying to find another chip like it, and as soon as they both entered the building, they saw that Michael was indeed inside it. Blade tried to destroy Michael, but Spider-Man saved him once again. Blade went down to continue attacking, but Spider-Man kept on getting in the way. Blade ended up trapped, and Spider-Man had to go down to help him. Meanwhile, Michael managed to find the chip he wanted. He was about to leave, but the police woman appeared to try and stop him. Blade told her to get away, but Michael managed to grab her and used her as a shield to escape from there. Then he threw her down. Blade struggled to save the woman, and Spider-Man tried to follow Michael. When they were alone, the woman tried to get Blade to go with her to the police station, but he said she wouldn't be able to force him to do that. The vampire hunter then easily disarmed her and disappeared. We then see that Spider-Man managed to catch up with Michael and took the device from his hands. Spider-Man insisted that Michael was cursed and he needs to be cured, but according to Michael himself, he was actually blessed, as now he possesses immortality. He attacked Spider-Man and managed to get the device back and then flew away. Spider-Man couldn't follow him because he ran out of webs. After that, we see that the female detective managed to follow Blade, and when she arrived at his hideout, Spider-Man was already there and took her inside. There, the two of them told her everything about the vampires. Now the woman wants to know how they can defeat these vampires, and Blade's assistant appeared with a new device he created. That device emits a kind of light that mimics sunlight and can trap vampires in a cage of light. The assistant says that everyone needs to work together and devise a plan to capture Michael. Spider-Man went out to get some more webbing and would come back in an hour. After he left, Blade started feeling unwell. He needed a dose of the serum and then take some rest. The assistant took advantage of his absence to tell the police woman the whole story about the vampire hunter. When Spider-Man returned home, his spider sense warned him that something was wrong. As soon as he went to his room, he found Michael himself inside it. He was looking for another blood sample from Peter to use in the neogenetic recombinator, but since he couldn't find anything, Michael left the place. The vampire went straight to the newspaper building to look for Peter Parker, but nobody there knew where he was, and Michael had to flee. Jonah Jameson then called Peter Parker to talk about this story, but he said he knew nothing about the vampire. Jameson said he was about to fire him and wanted Peter to give him a good reason not to do it. Peter thought for a while and said he would bring the best photo of the century if Jameson allowed him to continue working. Because of this, he gave Peter 24 hours to get this miraculous photo, and Peter took the opportunity to ask him for a favor. He borrowed a car to help with the missions with Blade. Peter Parker went to Blade's hideout and said he was sent by Spider-Man. He's there to help with the plan to capture the vampire. After that, Peter returned home with the car. He noticed that Michael was watching everything and was shocked to see that Mary Jane was inside waiting for him. The woman was tired of not being able to be near her boyfriend anymore and wanted to try and save that relationship. She asked if Peter wanted to continue the relationship or end it once and for all, but fearing for his girlfriend's safety, Peter decided to end the relationship and Mary Jane left the place. At that moment, Michael appeared to attack him. Peter pretended not to know who he was. Michael demanded Peter to give him a sample of the neogenetic blood he had created, and Peter said that he would give Michael a sample of this blood, and the sample was inside of the car. When Michael got closer, he discovered it was all a trap. Blade was inside the car and managed to capture him with a new device. Peter took the opportunity to take a picture, and at that moment, his aunt came out of the house. Michael freed himself from the light cage and captured Spider-Man's aunt. She fainted in his arms. Peter begged Michael to return his aunt, but he asked for a blood sample in exchange. Peter said he had one of those samples in his locker at the university and demanded that Michael return his ant. However, the vampire had other plans and flew away. After that, Blade was talking to the female police officer and said that sometimes sacrifices must be made to destroy vampires. Peter Parker's aunt was one of those sacrifices. The woman said that Blade truly has no heart at all, but she will try to teach him a little bit about love, and then she kissed him. Spider-Man appeared at that moment and said that if they weren't so busy kissing each other, Peter Parker's aunt wouldn't have been taken away by the vampire. They need to come up with a new plan to go after Michael, but Blade said there won't be any more plans. He will finish this mission himself. This greatly irritated Spider-Man, who decided to work alone as well. He thought about how to find Michael and soon had an idea. Spider-Man went to watch Michael's girlfriend because he must be coming after her. While watching, Spider-Man saw his ex-girlfriend Mary Jane going to have some fun with his best friend. Spider-Man was so sad that he didn't even notice Michael arriving. He took his girlfriend away, and at that moment, Spider-Man noticed and started following him. Blade somehow managed to track Michael and arrived at his hideout. The vampire was inside, telling everything to his girlfriend. He is responsible for all the people who lost their blood plasma. Now he's an immortal vampire and will transform his girlfriend so that the two of them can spend eternity together. Suddenly, Michael heard a noise outside. The female police officer had fallen into one of his traps. Now, Michael knows they have arrived and went outside to attack Blade. The vampire hunter managed to capture him and is ready to destroy him, but the female officer also stopped him. He has to be taken prisoner. After all, there's still a chance that he can be cured. Blade needs to allow Spider-Man to try and save Michael, and suddenly, Spider-Man himself appeared and attacked Blade from behind. He thought the man was going to kill Michael. The fight between the two of them allowed Michael to escape, and Spider-Man still had to save both Blade and the female officer. Michael is going to use the Recombinator to transform his girlfriend, but the woman said she doesn't want to be with him because Michael is no longer the same person she used to love. That past Michael would have stopped all of this when he realized he was hurting people. She cannot live a life where she needs to hurt people to survive. The woman begged Michael not to transform her, and her words touched his heart. He realized he was wrong, and at that moment, Spider-Man managed to infiltrate that place, but during the process, he activated the Recombinator. Michael had no choice but to jump in front of the blast to protect his girlfriend. He says he will always love her, and we see that the Recombinator has completely transformed him into a kind of vampire bat. He attacked Spider-Man, and during the fight, the Recombinator ended up moving and will transform Spider-Man's aunt into a vampire. Michael flew away with the superhero, but Spider-Man knows he can't lose his aunt and used all his strength to escape and then managed to pull his aunt out of the way of the Recombinator's blast. Outside, Blade fought the vampire, and Spider-Man took the opportunity to deactivate the Recombinator, but unfortunately, Michael managed to escape. Spider-Man told his girlfriend that Michael had completely transformed into a vampire and could no longer return to being human. The woman was very sad. Blade left the place and said goodbye to the female officer. The two of them cannot be together because his life must be dedicated to hunting vampires. The detective was very sad. She fell in love with a vampire, and after that, we see that Spider-Man took his aunt back home. Michael managed to hide in a cave and said goodbye to his girlfriend forever. Thanks for watching.